Peace, peace, and peace. What's going on, y'all? Rob Blackstorm. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. What I want to talk about today is something that I've been thinking about actually for the past week. Something I've been pondering about, looking at, analyzing, researching, asking questions on, and I finally got an answer. And the answer, or the question, I should say, is what is love? So when we're talking about love, what are we talking about? What does that mean? What does that word mean? It's something that we use all the time. It's something that we see in movies. It's something that we see on TV. It's something we hear on the radio and love songs. It's something, some of our favorite singers have sung about, legends that have sung about love, right? What is that? But what is that thing? What is it? What are we talking about? This is what I want to get to. We need a working definition going from 2020 forward on what love is. And we need to have it, if only to teach our children what love really is, right? And also for us to know what love really is so we can identify it. There's many people that are teaching about love. There's many people that are talking about love. There's many people that are relationship coaches that don't know what love is. When we talk about love, what we're talking about is an emotion, of course, but we're mainly talking about a connection. I asked a question on Facebook last week. I said, if a 7-year-old tapped you on your shoulder and asked you what love was, what would you tell them? Out of all the responses, the overwhelming response was, I would tell the child that they are love. That is an incorrect response. First and foremost, if a 7-year-old child taps you and asks you, what is love? The child wants an answer. They want their question answered. They don't want you to just throw it back on them. Because if you tell the child, you are love, child. You tell the child asks you, what is love? You're love, baby. That's sweet. It's candy coated. It sounds great. It sounds wonderful. Makes my ears tingle hearing it, right? It makes me want to say, oh, and all that good, mushy stuff. But that's not what the child asks. The child asks you, what is love? You tell the child that the child is love. Now the child's going to look at other children and think they're love too. They're going to think the bully in school is love. They're going to think that the person that's antagonizing them probably in class is love. They're going to think that their or their opposition is love, right? They're going to think that people that are against them or don't want to see them succeed or maybe teasing them or whatever they're going through when your eyes are not on them, that they have to walk through this world as individuals and make decisions. They're going to be thinking that everyone else is love as well because you told that child that child is love. Or another one that they said was, love is everything that you see around you. Incorrect. How can love be everything that you see around you? How can that be? How can that be? So that means if I see somebody getting murdered, that's love. That means if I see somebody beating up a woman, that's love. That means if someone is abusive to me, that's love. If someone is disrespectful towards me, that's love. No, that cannot be love. So it had me thinking, we really don't know what love is. We really have no idea. And it's a word that's used loosely. I was told, and the reason, honestly, that I thought about this, because someone was talking to me, someone I was talking to, and they kept telling me they loved me and they loved me, and I'm going through certain situations, and they're just doing like the worst, like the most selfish things. And they're claiming that they love me, right? But they're being very selfish, right? They're only thinking about themselves. But in their thinking about themselves, they're thinking that they're actually expressing love towards me, right? Let's go into what love isn't. Love isn't you getting gifts, right? If somebody, like Christmas is coming up, right? So everybody's going to be getting gifts. At the time I'm recording this, Christmas is going to come up the next couple of days. And people are going to be getting gifts. Parents are going to be giving their children gifts. Relatives are going to be giving each other gifts. And they're going to think that these are expressions of love. Incorrect. You getting gifts. You getting a mansion. You getting a car. You getting some cologne. You getting some socks. You getting a nice dress. You getting a nice watch. You getting, even if somebody proposed to you and put a ring on your finger, got there on their knees and put their ring on your finger, that does not mean that they love you. Doesn't mean that they love you. All it means is that they're displaying affection. That's what that is. They're displaying affection. And affection and love are two different things. Is affection part of love? Yes. But you do not have to love someone to show them affection. That's just part of it. And I'll explain that shortly. So love isn't things. Love isn't you getting a gift. Love isn't somebody paying on your bills. Love isn't you staying home and you being, him paying all your bills and you staying home, and vice versa, her paying all your bills and you staying home. That's not love. That is an expression of affection, right? That's somebody showing you affection. People show animals affection. People show rats affection, if you like rats. People show chinchillas affection. That's why there's PETA out there, right? You get shown affection in millions of different ways. Somebody could be trying to manipulate you and take advantage of you, and they'll show you affection. There are scenarios where people get things and people are shown affection, and what is done is used to manipulate you, right? Let's look at Jennifer Lopez in the movie Enough, right? Just an example. Jennifer Lopez, this guy was rich, call him good looking, she had everything, nice car, nice house, closet full of clothes, money in the bank, but he was abusive. He provided her everything that she could have physically, but he was abusive, right? So we can't say getting gifts or love. And there's other people that were in those situations with men that have taken care of everything, and vice versa with women that have taken care of everything for men. And the men get kicked out, and even men get abused sometimes. It's just how it is. And sometimes men get taken advantage of for money. Maybe they're not getting abused, but they're getting abused monetarily. You always got to pay for this. You always got to pay for that. They always want money out of you. They're abusing you monetarily. So it's not just physical abuse. Also, that person could be talking to you disrespectfully, speaking to you in a manner that is not uplifting, that is not kind, and that is not nice. It doesn't make you feel well, right? But they're providing gifts and everything like that. That's not love. Love is not a feeling. Also, this is one of the things I heard. Love is a feeling. Love is a feeling. Love is a feeling. Love is not a feeling. Love is an action. You can't love compliments, right? Somebody telling you, oh, baby, you look good. Oh, sir, you look handsome. Oh, you're so gorgeous. Oh, you're so fine. All the things that people say, even when they're going to manipulate us or take advantage of us, is not love, because that's just someone showing you affection, someone being passionate about you, someone having passion, and they just might be attracted to you physically. And 9 times out of 10, that's the case, but they haven't gotten to know you. They don't know anything about you. So that's not love. Someone complimenting you is just someone giving you a compliment. It's just someone saying a nice thing. It feels good. It's affectionate. But again, a good feeling is not love. Good feeling has nothing to do with love. Let's look at it spiritually. When we talk about love, right, the ancient symbol of the Ankh is also a symbol of love. It is a symbol of the masculine uniting with the feminine, right? I have a video, Sex Magic and the Ankh. You could look at that for different details about sex magic. But when we're talking about love, it's also a symbol for love. The union of masculine energy and feminine energy. We all know what happens during sex or sacred energy exchange. The phallus enters the vagina, and what happens when the phallus enters the vagina? The vagina grips the penis, and there is a connection. As they said in Avatar, you have mated, right? You are one. So there is a unifying force with love. But there's also movement. There's also action, right? There's friction with that penis going in and out. There's a spark, right? But there's action. There's activity. It's not just someone saying, I love you. It's not just, flowers. It's not just candy. It's not just gifts. There's actually action involved. When you genuinely love someone, what you're doing is you're showing empathy to them. And empathy means putting yourself in someone else's shoes and relating to another's experience. Let's use an example of empathy, right? Let's say that you're sick, right? I'm sick. Let's use me, for example. I'm sick, right? I'm going through something. I'm sick. And I call my girlfriend, right? Let's say I call my girlfriend. if I had a girl, let's call my girlfriend. I'm like, yo, I'm sick, you know? And my girlfriend's like, oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that, you know? And, you know, I hope you feel better. And that's that. That's not love. That is sympathy. Maybe they're sympathetic for what I'm going through, but that's not love. Love is empathy. Empathy or empath is going to be able to put themselves in your shoes. So someone who really loves you, who has empathy, empathy is going to lead to compassion. So if they have empathy, what they're going to do is they're going to put themselves in your shoes. I'll say, you know, I'm sick, I got the flu or whatever. Next question should be, oh no, did you get anything to eat? Get any soup, any medicine? Empathy, right? She's putting herself in my shoe. She might suggest Theraflu. She might suggest a certain tea. She might suggest a certain herb. She might suggest, you know, something that I need to do. Maybe, you know, wrap up myself in a warm blanket and sweat it out, you know, or give me a technique or something. But she is genuinely concerned. She might even say, look, I'm going to come over and make you some soup, or I'm going to come over and bring you some orange juice, or I'm going to come over and bring you some Theraflu, right? That's love. It's an action. She's putting herself in my shoes, and she's saying, okay, I see her. I see him. Like they said in Avatar, I see you. I see you. That's love. That's empathy. Putting yourself in another person's shoes. That's empathy. I see you, right? And you're not going to get that by compliments. You're not going to get that by gifts. You're not going to get that because someone took you on a nice, romantic walk in the park and they had flowers laid down on a path, you know, to a table and you eating at that table. Is that nice? Of course it's nice. That's some great stuff, right? It makes you feel good. It's affectionate. But is that same person, you know, when you're having a hard day at work, going to be there to give you a hug and say, baby, it's going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? When you're stressed out about something, babe, don't worry, you're going to make it. Or talk to you about what it is, what's going on. How can they help you? How can they help you go through your problem? Maybe you need some space. How can they give you the space that you need, right? That's love. You know that they're overworked. They just need some time away from the kids or time away, you know, to just detox. You put yourself in their shoes. Maybe they express the concern. Look, baby, you know, she said, baby, look, I had a rough week. I had all these kids, you know, things have been going crazy. You put yourself in her shoes, you know, and vice versa. You put yourself in her shoes. Say, all right, look, let me take the kids or whatever. Give her a break. Give him a break. That's empathy, right? What we do is we often mistake passion for love. We think because someone is passionate, you could be passionate about a car. You can't put yourself in the shoes of a car. You could be passionate about planes. You can't put yourself in the shoes of a plane. You could be passionate about Montclair coats. And what happens is we get in these relationships with people that say they love us and we say they love them. But the minute things go wrong, or the minute things don't fit our narrative or what we think love is, or the minute things go sideways to what we think love is, we automatically discard it. We automatically don't want to put ourselves in that person's shoes. We look for somebody else. We look for somebody that we think is better sometimes. The grass is green on the other side, right? Or we just start shitting on the other person, right? And sometimes we get in relationships with people and we say we love people for the wrong reasons. We love people for external reasons. They look good. I could post him or her on the gram. They got a nice car. They got a nice house. They got a lot of money. You know, they're cute physically. You know, they're pretty physically. That has nothing to do with someone when you're having a rough time or even when you're having a great time. Let's say you like a certain type of music, right? And the other person doesn't like that type of music, right? And this is why it's important to meet people that have similar interests to you. But the other person doesn't like that type of music. Let's use me, for example. I love all music, first and foremost. I love music, like love music and art, period. And you can love music and art because I could put myself in music. I could relate to music. I could put myself within the sound and not just have a feeling, but I can actually embody that sound. Music changes moods, right? Music is a universal language. Art is a universal language. Nature is a universal language. We are connected to nature strictly through us eating animals, us eating plant life, and us breathing out carbon dioxide and taking in oxygen from plants. So we are interconnected with nature. So yes, you could love a dog. Yes, you could love a cat. Yes, you could love a painting, because those things you could connect to. You could put yourself within that painting, within that, feel how that dog would feel how that cat would feel, because we're eating animals. We are one with the animals. We're one with the planet. But when we talk about loving someone else, it's a big, big deal, because there's responsibility. You have to be active. There's action involved in love. It's not just, again, something that you say. It's something that you do, but you have to be able to put yourself in their shoes. So let's say, for example, you like a certain type of music, right? The other person, I'm a hip hop head. The other person maybe is not a hip hop head, right? Like me. They like R&B music, right? That's their focus. They love R&B music. I love hip hop. They love R&B music. Now, even though I may not be I don't have the same passion about R&B music as my partner. Excuse me. I don't have the same passion. As my partner, that does not, with R&B, that does not mean I cannot put myself in her shoes. Why? Because I'm passionate about hip hop, right? So I can understand how she could be passionate about R&B. That's empathy. I'm putting myself in her shoes. I see her. I see what she's going through. I've experienced that with music myself. But let's say I get with somebody who doesn't like music at all. Right? They don't like music. They don't like art. They just, numbers and, maybe they play Jenga all day, right? Or Connect Four, or whatever. That's their thing, I really can't put myself in the shoes of that person. I cannot see them. I cannot imagine what they're going through or what type of passion that they have. Maybe they're a world-class bowler, right? They're great at bowling. That's their thing. Now, I could kind of relate, right? Because I'm passionate about something else, but the likelihood of me always going to their bowling events, probably not. Now, if I love them, if I'm empathetic enough, will I support them? Of course I will. Because on the other hand, if I was doing something like that, I would want them to support me. And that's where the empathy comes in. But you have to know that that's something you're going to be willing to support the other person in. They like bowling, that's what they do. You got to be willing to support them, and vice versa. You got to be willing to support the other person that may be into music, or maybe, into reconstructing cars, or maybe, likes going to car shows and stuff like that. The Ankh is, again, about masculine energy and feminine energy combining. And that's the same thing we're doing. Feminine energy is receptive. Masculine energy is active. That's why a man has a penis that rises, which is what the Washington Monument and the Tekins and the obelisk represent. And women have a vagina, which is why they represent Mother Earth, Mother Nature, receptive things, right? The universe, the universal wombs, they're receptive. So it's the same interplay that happens in love. Love, there is an action, and in love, there is a receptive energy. You have to be receptive to your partner, but you also have to be active with your partner. And these two elements make up love, the same elements that make the Ankh, which is a unity of power, right? The same unity of masculine and feminine create children. And the same unity of masculine energy and feminine energy creates life, and life in your relationships. And this doesn't necessarily mean just romantic relationships. This applies to your children. You have children, right? 10, 12, 13, 14. They may be going through things. They may be acting up to school. They may be acting out, doing things that, you don't agree with. You have to put yourself in their shoes, because at one time you was 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14, and 15 too. You did dumb shit. You didn't listen to your parents. There was something that threw you off. So you have to remember that when you deal with your children. That's empathy. There's people that have children They don't give a shit about their children, really. They might feed them, they might clothe them, and that's it. They're selfish. They're focused on getting their money. They're focused on going to work. They're focusing on hanging out with their friends. They focus on talking shit with their friends. They're focused on the internet, the gram, the gossip, whatever. And they're not focused on their kids. So their kids don't connect with them. They don't relate. There's no masculine energy. There's no active energy. There's no receptive energy. There's no unity. But these kids might be fly. Parents buy them everything. They want the new Jordans, the new coats, the new hats, the new iPhones. They got all that shit. But they don't have love. They don't have a connection. The parent does not see them. And they're not putting themselves in their shoes. They don't remember when the parent doesn't remember what they were 14. The parent doesn't remember they were 15 and doing dumb shit. They might just be verbally abusive. You know, every time something happens, they just want to bark and flip or control or be, mean. That's not love. So we got to explain to our kids what love is. Love is empathy that leads to compassion. And compassion is active. Empathy is receptive. But compassion is active. Empathy is receptive. Compassion is active. Empathy plus compassion leads to love. Let's talk about sex. Let's wrap this up with sex. Now, a lot of times people will say they love you, right? Or they'll love you right after sex, right? You'll have a great sexual session. It's all passionate. Everything went great. She got off, you got off. It was great. And people right after that, they say they fell in love, right? Oh, the sex was great. She's pretty, he's cute, we're in love. That's what people do. She's pretty, he's cute, he has nice jeans, she wears nice dresses, the sex was bomb, we're in love. Great sex is not love either. Just because you have a great sexual sessions and that spark is there, that doesn't mean, again, that person is going to care about you when you're sick, that person is going to care about you when you have a rough day, that person is going to be there for you when you need them. A lot of people see that, and then what happens is they blame the other person instead of blaming themselves. And we've all done it, instead of blaming themselves for making a bad choice. And that's really all it is. And it's not our fault. We don't really have a definition for love. We've been taught that love through movies is, all these romantic gestures, flying in helicopters and living in mansions and, driving in Rolls Royces and, just being saved from supervillains, right? Being saved from supervillains. If you're into comics and stuff like that, this is what we think love is, and it's totally wrong. And we've been miseducated and we've been lied to, because that has nothing whatsoever. These things have nothing whatsoever to do with love. Going back to sex, is sometimes you have sex with a person, and and I've experienced this as a man, and I know women have experienced this, where I know that the woman sleeping with me is selfish. All she wants to do is get hers off. She doesn't care how I feel. Doesn't care if I'm getting off. There's times you'll be in a certain sexual position with a person, and you're instructing the person, physically. You might not be vocally, but physically you're instructing the person on what you like and what's going to get you off and what's going to get you right, or what's going to heighten the passion within that sexual act. And the other person is just doing their thing. They're doing what they want to do with your body. They're basically using your body for what they want to do. They don't care if you get off. They don't care if it's something that you enjoy. They don't care if it's something that you even like, because it's all about them. It's all about them feeling good. And it happens on both sides. It happens with women too, but they don't really care. They're just doing what they want to do when they want to do it, and they don't care how you feel. There's times where I'm with the woman and I know, in a certain position, if I touch her ear, if I bite her calf, if I grab her waist, if I, slap her ass at a certain time, that it's going to heighten her sexual pleasure. Has nothing to do with me. Has to do with her. That's empathy. I'm putting myself in her shoes, even during a sexual act, because I want her to feel good. I want her to enjoy this. The same way I want her to make sure I enjoy it. And so the sexual energy is vice versa. That's empathy, right? Receptive energy, me being receptive to how she's feeling, and then me acting on it. you know, and touching her certain places and doing certain things and trying to put her in certain positions, even putting on certain music that's going to enhance the sexual activity. So when we talk about love, we have to be very careful. So here's a working formula. You can take it to 2020, teach your girlfriends, teach your homeboys, teach your children. Love is empathy that's followed by compassion. Empathy is receptive. You seeing them, you're putting yourself in their shoes, and compassion is active. It's actually doing something, being active, making things happen. Making things happen. Can't just say you love somebody, oh, you're putting yourself in their shoes and you don't do anything to act on that. That's not love either. Oh, I have empathy for my children. I love them. You know, I always think about how they feel. But when they come to you with a question about something, you bark on them or you dismiss them. Or if they have a situation in school, you don't remember that you were 14. You don't remember that you were 12. You don't remember that you were 15 and you were doing dumb shit. And you don't put yourselves in their shoes, so they can't relate to you. And therefore, you can't be active with them. You can't have a connection. You can't communicate because you're so far removed now that you done turned 30, 40 or whatever. You feel like you're so far removed from there that you can't put yourself. You can't see that child. Let me know what you think in the comments. Peace, power, prosperity. Rob Blackstorm. If you want to, I'm doing some readings for the end of the year. If you want to do a reading, I'm not going to say, I don't know, people say consultations. It's a reading, man. We'll have a conversation during the reading, but it's a reading. If you want to have a reading, let's do a reading for a year end. I'm doing some readings. I'm going to put my email so you can email me, or you can hit me on Facebook Messenger. I'll put that here also. Man, I'll talk to y'all shortly, man. Again, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Rob Blackstorm, I'm out.